Today I am making a Dungeon Master screen.
I have a friend whose birthday is coming up. For his birthday, he has asked for a Dungeon Master screen. And I thought, that's a great idea. That's a fantastic idea. Let's build him one. My friend is a paleontologist and archaeologist. So I thought, for a Dungeon Master screen, dragon fossils. Am I extremely excited about this idea? Yes. Am I sure that I can actually pull this off? Oh, the end screen works as a folding screen, which you put in front of whatever it is that you have to hide from the players in front of you. It means that I at least need 3 planes, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides, just so that it will stand on its own. I'll be using plywood as a base, and then on top of that I'm going to be building with whatever material I find. So I'm going to be rummaging around in my treasure cove, which is that blue cabinet that you see over there. I have loads of different stuff in it, and I'm just gonna see whatever I will find. Let me take you on a journey.
I actually have multiple coves of treasure in my workshop, but we are starting at the blue cabinet where I found some foamy bits that I might be able to use as bones. Then I found some blue XPS foam to use for the different earthy layers, and I found some leftover clay that I will probably use for any type of fossil. Then I searched my wood stash, which is a fantastic place, and once again this place delivered. I cut the piece of plywood that I found to size, and then I start on a design. I drew out what my idea is and where I would like all the bones to be, and then I decided that I wanted to add a skull in the middle, so that is going to be a fun challenge.
I have a base. This is the base that I'm going to be working with. The idea is that the outside is going to be 3D geography with some dragon fossils. I am thinking a top-down view of a paleontologist dig site. I'm just going to be adding some fossils to different earthy layers. I am thinking adding a dragon skull somewhere here. And I'm very scared about this because I have never made a realistic dragon skull before. Or any realistic skull. And of course it doesn't have to be super realistic, but I do want it to be recognizable as a dragon, and I want it to be recognizable as a skull, so we'll see. On the inside, I don't want to do anything 3D because on the inside there's going to be all the information. That's what the DM screen is for. I think it would be very cool if I add a side view of the geography that is on top. So I am going to try and do that, but for the main part I'm just gonna have fun with it. But it's looking pretty good so far, so I'm not gonna ruin this. I am not going to ruin this.
I cut down the XPS foam with my hot wire foam cutter into smaller pieces so that it will just fit my base. Then I cut them to be roughly the shape that I want, and because I want 2 layers, I repeat this step once more. For this project I am using only secondhand materials, which caused me to double take every one of these shapes. I barely had enough, but I managed and worked with all the pieces that I did have. Then I decided that the edges are too smooth, so I sharpened them with a utility knife first, and with a rock I roughed them up. The benefit of using a rock is that foam is very impressionable, and a rock will leave its rocky texture on, which means perfectly stony earth layers, which for this project is absolutely perfect. Then I use my hot glue gun to stick everything together. I just put on some foam on the base that I showed you earlier, and I mean, do you see the vision? This is where a skull's gonna go, and then we have all the way around just stony textures, and I think if this is what you look at during a campaign, I wouldn't mind being a player if I sat on this side. I mean, we still have to finish this off and like add the actual skull and add the bones and paint everything. We still have to do all of that. But if you can see the vision, I think this is gonna look very good. That's the next thing I'm going to do, is I'll be making the skull. I'll be doing it from bakeable clay. I already made some aluminum bases for the skull, so this would be the upper part. The jaw. This is going to be pretty good bases to put some clay in. I don't often use clay, and I even less know how to film this, so I only have a couple of shots which didn't include my hands blocking the camera. But I am learning, so next time will be better for sure. I first made a flat piece of clay that I then laid over my aluminum bases. I smooth them out as much as I want, and then I give them a bit of texture. When I'm satisfied, into the oven they go. And then I continue with the bones, trying the foam first by cutting it down into shape, and because that didn't really work for me, I continued on with using some clay.
I have already made some clay bones and a clay skull for the dragon, but I do really want to first put a base coat of stuff on this. I really want the texture of the front to be a bit sandy and stony because it's dig side, so there's gonna be sand and stone. What I'm doing, I'm adding sand and stone. I'm gonna be making a mixture of Mod Podge, black paint, and stone and sand, and all of that is gonna go on the front. The back, I'm just gonna add a clear black layer of a base coat. Yeah, base coat. Base coat it is. It's drying, and I can't really do anything anymore in the workshop until this is completely dried up. So I am gonna head on out, and I'll finish this one tomorrow. Good morning. I have to show you something. I really do. I have to show you something. This is what she looks like. I really like how she looks. I like the horn. It looks like a busted down skull, and that's basically what we need because it's an excavation. All the things you find there, they're all going to be busted. They're all going to be broken down and pressed down. I have also made a couple of different type of bones. Bone out of a foam type material. And I have a bone out of clay. I started off with making the bones out of the foam type material, but I don't know if you can see it. It's become very square because the more you cut it off, the thinner it gets, and it breaks very easily. And then I decided I'm gonna go with clay. On this side, we have most things to do because I need to add all the tiny details that we made yesterday, and we need to paint this. This side has a couple of spots that are not completely dried out yet. So I'll be painting the inside and the details first, and then I'm gonna see if it has dried out enough on the outside to continue with that side. I hope so. I don't really have enough time to wait, so I hope so.
I just love painting any project. I started by adding some yellows, browns and reds and mixed them into different layers for the inside of the screen. I made sure to give every color 2 layers of paint because the paint was a bit see-through at first, but now it's not. I also used a paint pen to draw on some fossils, but you see this at the end of the video because I forgot to film them. I used 3 of the same colors for the outside, and I made sure to get it nicely covered before continuing with a sponge to give it a bit more texture, and a dry brush of whites and yellows to make everything look nice and stony. Then I continued on with making the skull and bones look bony, and I started with a whitish layer and continued with reds, yellows, and added some grey outlines to finish it off. It's almost finished! I am so proud of how this is already looking. I'm so proud of how this is already looking. Here comes the first part. We have a second part of the skull, of course. All of these tiny little bones have been painted. I'm ready to assemble. Assembly is such a fun part of any project. I started with putting all the bones and the skull down, and when I found the position that I wanted them in, I added a bit of epoxy glue and pressed them down. I made sure to add a bit of a darker paint around the fossils just to give the illusion of depth, and then all of a sudden the screen was finished. Although in this case I did decide to add a little something because I wanted to add a whimsical way to keep this Dungeon Master screen closed, so I made 2 beads of a tiny pickaxe and a teeny trowel to make sure that my friend is equipped with the tools that you would need for an excavation like this. I made them from oven baked clay and then painted them with a silvery paint. So it's done. My little dragon face is done. I'm so proud of how this entire thing turned out. Like, the dragon skull turned out so cool, especially the bone texture, which I'm kind of surprised about. I didn't know I could do that, but I did! No, but honestly, I am just so happy with how he turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making this because it was incredibly fun for me. So maybe subscribe, like, leave in the comments what project you would like me to make next, and I'll see you in the next time. Look at him! Bye!
So, did you go like and comment in the comments?